Hey guys, Shadney back with another Stampin' Sunday process video, and today the layout we're going to be doing is actually ends up being one of my all-time favorite layouts I've ever made ever. So we started with this photo. It's probably about a 3x4 of India with Bullseye, the target dog, before they changed him to like the goofy cartoony looking one. And I have pulled out my Stampin' Up circle punches at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1.5 inch, and then just a bunch of scraps in like coral to scarlet kind of range of colors, trying to keep that bright. I want to keep the target feel, but also mimic or bring out that bright color, the fluorescent of India's jacket that kind of ties that into the red color. I'm not a huge fan of red, so pulling in the scarlet color is really, I've liked that a lot lately. Instead of doing like a true red, I really like that scarlet color. So this is kind of tying that in so you get the target feel without red, which, yeah, anyways, teach their own. So what I've done is I've started out with this coral colored background, and then I cut the wood grain. The wood grain is actually from Snow and Cocoa paper pad. I cut it down so that there was just a border around the outside. I haven't attached it yet, and you'll see later why. And then I did go ahead and do some white gesso just with my palette knife across the background there. I did it down on that bottom right side so that it would emphasize where the photo's gonna go, but I also went ahead and did it off camera and let it dry for a while I pulled out all my supplies so that it would have plenty of drying time before I get to actually crafting on top of it. So right now what I'm doing, oh look, you are seeing my iPad. Victoria Marie was doing a live stream whenever I was doing this layout, so you get to see her for a minute there too. Didn't realize that was still in the video, sorry guys. Anyways, so I have just pulled out a ton of my scraps, like I said before. Now I'm going through and punching little targets out of each. I was so excited when I figured out that I could make little targets from these circle punches. These are the 3 circle punches I have from Stampin' Up. They're amazing. If you're going to invest in anything, especially from Stampin' Up, because it does get kind of pricey, they're very quality products and tools, but they are pricey, so you have, I get that. Sorry, I get that you have to be choosy about what you invest in. These are like my top go-to if you're trying to build up tools. These are amazing. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted. So for the targets, what you do is I take the 1 inch circle punch. I punch a circle out of the paper, but far enough in that there's a nice border around it. Then that circle we're not using, the 1 inch circle we're not using, just set aside, and then we might use it for something later. And I think I do use it for another video that's not been edited yet. We'll see. I'll show you. So then you take the 1.5 inch circle, and when you hold it over that 1 inch circle, you can see the border and center it so that you get that nice ring. And then that is your outside ring of your target. And then take your 1/2 inch punch, which is a tiny size, but it's actually my most favorite circle punch right now. Like, it's just the perfect size. So anyway, so you take your 1/2 inch circle and punch out that very, very center. So now you have these perfect little targets, and they're so cute, and I'm so excited. I love this layout. Sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward because it's just more of this until I'm done with all the targets. So fast forward, hold on. Okay, so now we have all of the little targets punched out like we want them. And then I'm pulling out some, this one's a Mr. Huey's mist, and it's like a coral color, and well, probably more like a scarlet color. And then I pulled out a Heidi Swap Color Shine, and that one is more of a like a pinky coral, and it's got the shimmer in it. And I'm just splattering across where the whatever this is called, gesso is. Sorry, my brain stopped for a second. I'm just splattering across where the gesso is, and just to get a good kind of texture on the background. I know a lot of people don't like using red mist as splatter because they feel like it looks like blood. I'm fine with it. Whatever works. And if it looks like blood, it's cool. Whatever. I think this just adds more texture and dimension in the background, and you'll see once the targets are on it how that all works. So right now what I'm doing, I'm going to do my title up here in this top left corner. So I pulled out my grid ruler and I'm just marking a little line, and I'm using the Stampin' Up! Alpha stamps that they're just like an outline, but they're a bigger letter, and just stamping the word Target across the top there. And I'm just going to do a couple letters and then fast forward because it's boring to sit and watch me do this forever and ever and ever. But I'm just going to stamp Target across the top there in that, terracotta coral, I think is terracotta tile maybe is the color. And it's like a scarlet kind of red. And it's one of the in colors for 2019 to 2020. So now I'm pulling out the girl is a foam, thicker, and just adding that over Target because India is definitely a Target girl. And then, I've got a different alpha stamp from Stampin' Up! As well. And this one, it's got like a uppercase and lowercase cursive, like a brush letter kind of cursive. And then it's got some little tiny type letters that are teeny tiny. And then it's got some like, with the teeny tiny, it's got some punctuation. And it sounds dumb, but my favorite stamp out of this whole big pack, because there's a ton of stamps in this pack, is this tiny little plus sign. I've been using it a lot lately. So I'm just using the little plus sign just to scatter across, like where my embellishments are going to go over here across the top where the target is, and then around that gessoed area. So now I am doing a little trick just to add some more color at the top there and a little bit more interest. This is something I saw Tashiana do. She's amazing, by the way, if you need another YouTuber to watch, because, we always need more people, more inspiration for everybody. She's amazing. And one thing she does is she likes to do these like weird offcuts across the top of her layout, and then she'll distress it a lot and then add paper behind it. I don't usually distress mine like that, but I have been doing it just for a little pop of color and a little bit of like odd texture across the top, and a lot of times I'll use the Stampin' Up! Scissors are super, super sharp. And so I'll just kind of start. This one I did kind of control more the shape because I do have the stamping across the top there. But a lot of times I will just kind of let the scissors go, when they glide through wrapping paper. It's kind of like that, and just kind of let it go and make its own shape across the edge there, and then just back it with some paper. I did, because that strip was so small, I used washi tape to tape across there to both hold it together, like give it a little bit more stability, but also to cover up any exposed adhesive, because I haven't adhered that top layer down yet. So now I'm going to start building my targets across the background on here. I'm kind of just trying to figure out the positioning of everything, where I want the photo, and then not add a bunch of stuff behind the photos that's going to get covered up. I am trying to keep these in like vertical lines so that, because I'm going to go stitch down them, you'll see in a second, but I'm trying to keep them in vertical lines, and I'm just kind of arranging right now based on color, keeping the colors like evenly spaced out so you don't have like all the pink together, all the red together, all that. Anyway, so I'm just doing that, I fast forwarded because that's boring. And now what I'm going to do, and I'm sorry if you hear that the air conditioning just came on, so it might be kind of loud. And I have the washing machine going in the background. Everything's kind of crazy around here. I'm trying to hurry and do this before everyone wakes up. So, anyways, I'm just using my Nuvo wet adhesive and just adding a tiny bit of glue down the center of each of these. And then I'm just setting the inside circle to the side for now, because I'm not going to stitch over those. You'll see in a minute why. And I really love that I didn't, like, it adds a really cool texture. So I went ahead and stitched down these rows, you can see, and I trimmed all my strings. And then I just used my fingers to pop up those targets just to give it more texture and dimension. And if you don't like that, you can adhere them completely flat. I love a lot of texture and dimension. It's like, it's not a page that's done if there's not texture and dimension, so it just feels finished to me. I also stitched across that top edge there, following that little cutout and everything. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals, which are amazing and they stick so well and I love them. And I'm going to use those to adhere the centers down to the middle of each target. The Stampin' Dimensionals are also fairly thin, so you get texture without a lot of bulk. But I really love how this turned out, because then you have the target, the background of the target, like the outer circle, is stitched down the center, but then kind of popped up. But then with that center over top of all of it, like popped up a little bit over top of the stitching and everything. I don't know why. It just makes me really happy. I just really love how it looks. I don't know, it just gives it a different look and a different emphasis kind of on what it looks like. I'm rambling, so sorry. I'm going to fast forward so you don't have to watch all this. I'm just went through and matched up all the centers. And then I did go ahead and adhere the photo down with some more Stampin' Dimensionals as well. Now I'm just pulling out some embellishments. This is my Iris Fox Whimsy Fox Crafts little stash in this little drawer. So I pulled out a tab to put the date, or, well, what I thought was going to be putting the date, but then I ended up putting something else there in the end, as well as some little felt hearts. And then I pulled out a flare from Humble and Create shop. So I'm going to adhere that flare down with a Stampin' Dimensionals, just so that it's at the same level as the photo, because it does have the texture behind it, the foam behind it. I am going to adhere that little label down with my Nuvo adhesive, and then I'm kind of scattering those little felt hearts around, and then I'll adhere those with the Nuvo adhesive as well. And if you haven't ordered or haven't seen Whimsy Fox Crafts stuff, first of all, Iris is the sweetest person ever. She's amazing and she's so talented. But she has awesome products in her shop, in her Etsy shop. And she just added a ton more of heart colors. And I might have ordered a bunch of them. So you'll see those on a lot more pages coming up soon. And anyways, a lot of people use staples to staple them down, but I like to just use my Nuvo adhesive. Then I did pull out some Nuvo drops in like it's kind of like a plummy pinkish purpley color. It's weird. Anyways, and then I pulled out these little gemstones from Stampin' Up. They are in the the in colors for 2019 to 2020. They're the same. This scarlet color is the same as that. It's the terracotta tile as the stamp set that I used, the stamp ink pad. Sorry, my brain is not there. And I just scattered some of those around. Then I pulled out some little, oh, these are sequins. Sorry, I couldn't tell for a second. They're so tiny. These are also Stampin' Up. They're just like a pale pink, sequins that already have adhesive, like little tiny glue dots behind them. And I scattered some of those and then used some little wood veneer hearts just for another little texture and color. Now I'm just adding a tiny bit of journaling down here, and then I'm going to pull out the phrase stickers or tiny word stickers, whatever they're called, and just use a couple of those around. I thought I was going to do the date there on that little label, but then I put this there and then realized that I didn't put the date there. So it's fine. I like how it turned out still. It's not a big deal. I just add the date somewhere else later. Or I might have done it in my journaling. I can't remember. I might go back and add it to my journaling later. I don't know. Anyway, so I just add some of these around. I was just going to adhere them down, but I did use the Nuvo adhesive because they need just a little bit extra adhesive, especially down there at the gesso. And then that's my finished page. I am just so in love with this page. I hope you enjoyed this layout. I hope it was inspiring. Even if you just need to make a Target sometime, because you know we love Target. So it's just a cool way to do that. I was super excited to be able to figure that out. Anyways, thank you again. If you made it this far, you're amazing. Please hit like if you like this video. Please leave a comment. Maybe one of your favorite ways to use a circle punch, because circle punches are my favorite tool in my stash. They're amazing. So I'm curious to see what your favorite ways to use circle punches are. And if you want to see more videos, hit subscribe and hit that bell notification so you'll be notified. And have a wonderful day and a happy scrapping. Bye.